everybody, and welcome back aboard the Great Ship the Space Show. I am your host, Lieutenant Commander Rebecca Frost, joined as always. I did it again, always. Admiral Carrie Jackson.
Paging
Commander
Dr.
Robert
Freud.
Neal. Oh, yoy, yoy.
Yep.
Lee is off doing stuff. So he will return eventually.
Yeah, he's having some issues.
His missing belly button is giving him grief.
Yeah. So again, go to our social media and find the Venmo to donate to help.
Sure could use your help. But also, I just want to give a bit, because this ties into the Lee thing, I just want to give a huge thank you to our fans once again, because life is in the way. So I made this announcement on our Patreon, but if you listen or watch the show exclusively, you'll notice we've been kind of inconsistent with how we've been releasing. We are going to move to an every other week release schedule. And so far, everyone has been so cool about it. And I just want to say thank you guys again for being the nicest fans and just being so chill. And thank you for showing up and listening to our show, because we all love Star Trek.
I mean, watching Star Trek shouldn't feel like homework. And so the once a week, 5 episodes each it was really starting to hit.
Yeah.
And but then Rebecca has some life that got in the way, and here we are. So
yeah, I've got life situation. Lee has life situation. We've all got life situations. So just thank you guys for being so cool and chill about us moving to an every other week, and being here and supporting us.
Thank you.
This week, we're going to talk about some episodes, and we're really... Okay, we're going to talk about Galaxy's Child, Night Terrors, Identity Crisis, The Nth Degree, and Cupid. And we are just going to blaze through 3 of these because...
Why?
Because, some real horrible episodes in this batch. I mean, I've seen some better Star Trek, you guys. But let's talk about Galaxy's Child. As Geordi LaForge finally meets the real-life Dr. Leah Brahms, a tragic first contact leaves the Enterprise with a gigantic galactic infant suckling the ship's energy. I sure wish there was a different choice of words here, but alas. So... Geordi is getting a very special visitor aboard the Enterprise, the real-life, brilliant engineering designer, Dr. Leah Brahms. She is coming on board the Enterprise to see the engine modifications he has made, which improved upon her original design. And Geordi is in love with her, and he doesn't care who knows. But, of course, as he's talking about it with Guinan has to give him a heads up, like, hey, you don't know the real Leah Brahms. You know a hologram, and fantasy and reality might be a bit different. And Geordi is just convinced that he and Dr. Brahms are going to get on like gangbusters.
Well, because it used her memories and her logs and all of that to make the holodeck. So she's got to be
profile.
Exactly. She's got to be just like that.
Got to be the exact same. So when he meets her IRL, she is icy and arrogantly unwilling to consider any of Geordi's empirical findings that could conceivably stand against her theoretically impermeable truth. Geordi insists that he made all of the changes based on his observations and practical experiences in space, and she is annoyed, in a word.
She should be more than annoyed, but...
well, that comes later.
Yeah.
I was sitting in my seat, just not looking forward to the future when she finds out about the hologram version of her.
Because you know what's going to happen.
You just know what's going to happen, knowing Geordi's luck. So they take on the challenge to collaborate and learn to know each other better. Brahms senses a bit too much, air quotes, friendship coming on from Geordi, and she eventually has to tell Geordi that she is married, and Geordi is blindsided. Why wasn't this in? Why didn't he know this? Why didn't computer tell him this?
Because he didn't ask.
He didn't ask, and it's not necessary to know information, buddy.
Yeah.
So she is curious as to how Geordi had incorporated some exact changes that she was putting in the next class of starships being designed currently. Plus, Geordi knew her favorite dishes. I did look up the recipe for the pasta dish that he says is her favorite. It's just a mushroom pasta. It's nothing too fancy.
Yeah.
And even the way that she used to wear her hair. Creepy alert.
See, this is the thing. I said it about last time that he created this person. I'm just like, this is creepy, and we're just ignoring it. We're just looking at it like it's normal.
Once more, Geordi trying his best, and his best needs some work.
This is not
some
normal.
work. Just a little.
Look, you have a psychiatrist on board. For God's sake, Geordi.
So she decides to study all of Geordi's engine modifications and happens to come across the hologram program in the ship's computers. She finds Geordi's hologram version of her, and I think like anybody else in this situation, she feels almost pornographically abused. She even asks, "Was it good for you?"
Yeah. It was did you fuck the hologram version of me? I'll just say it. That's what she was saying,
Geordi's defense is the only thing that he's guilty of is trying to be her friend. My man, learn. The biggest thing you can do as a person, methinks, is acknowledge when you are wrong. And learn how to craft a proper apology. And Geordi could use the class right away.
A little bit, yeah. But it's also, when he's talking to Guinan about it, she's just kind of like, been there, done it, seen this. And, he's just like, I don't want to hear it. I'm in love.
Guinan has a very deft hand when it comes to this kind of thing, where she's there to provide knowledge and wisdom, but at the same time,
she's seen some stuff,
she's hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
And she's seen some stuff, but she also knows not to intervene and to let people make the mistakes that they need to make on their own.
Yep.
And just another reason to respect the hell out of Guinan.
But I think that the other thing about her is she has the latitude to tell somebody, you're being a stupid idiot, to their face.
Yes.
And whether they want to hear it or not, she's just like, you're dumb. And she's just like, and I'm going to play chess.
That's what's great about this character is that she could call it. She could just tell you flat out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Meanwhile, in the B plot of this episode, I hate this B plot. The Enterprise comes across a life form, and this strange life form, a space ravioli, is what it probes the Enterprise and sends an energy beam at the Enterprise, which immobilizes the ship. Radiation levels rise, and so Picard is forced to fire phasers upon the strange life form. However, we discovered that the life form was pregnant. And under the supervision of Dr. Beverly Crusher, they give the space ravioli a C-section and extract the baby ravioli. And so then the baby, like a baby duck, imprints on the Enterprise and asks the Enterprise, "Are you my mother?" To which the Enterprise goes, "Oh no, no," because it starts draining the energy from the ship. And so they figure out that the original Mama Ravioli was headed to an asteroid belt that was going to be suitable for it and the baby with all the minerals and whatever it needs. So they head towards that asteroid belt and they try to shake off the baby ravioli. And the baby ravioli is like, no, it latches on even harder and just starts draining the Enterprise. And the Enterprise is reduced to auto shutdown and only required
auxiliary power systems.
Auxiliary power systems. Thank you. That's why you're the engineer, Rob. And then other raviolis start to approach the ship. So now it is down to Geordi and Dr. Brahms to figure out what to do. Brahms suggests that they contaminate the energy feed from the Enterprise to shake Junior off from the hull. They come up with an idea to alter the power frequency as they speculate the life form exists in certain frequencies in space. Brahms reduces the power frequency. Other members construe this as an attack and increase their speed. The raviolis are starting to come faster. Junior lets go of the hull, joins the other raviolis. Power
Shift
returns to normal.
priority.
and then Dr. Brams and Geordi have a roadside beer, and they come to an agreement that, hey, that was messed up, but I think we have reached a spot where we can be friendly with each other now. And Star Trek does the thing sometimes where there's no apologies and just everyone's okay with the messed up situation.
No consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, she could have brought him up on charges, you know? I mean, there's a lot of things that could have, should have happened, but...
But it's also kind of a replay of, what's his name? Barkley with...
totally.
With his whole thing.
Exactly.
And because, nobody ever learns.
Nobody ever learns.
If you're going to have sex with a person on the holodeck, make sure it's not anybody that you've ever met or you work with.
You gotta do what Riker does. Riker asks the computer to make up a person.
Make up a person, exactly.
So some trivia for this episode. This title, Galaxy's Child, has a double meaning. The USS Enterprise D is a Galaxy-class ship, and the creature thinks the Enterprise is its mother after being born when the real mother dies, so the creature is Galaxy's Child. Isn't that fun?
I didn't even make that connection.
Who amongst us would, honestly? And before finding the holodeck program, Dr. Brahms reviews an engineering log of modifications made to the ship by LaForge. The last entry on the list, which is seen only very briefly, is Tonight on HBO.
So do you have the Apocrypha trivia on this?
No.
So in the novels after the series, Geordi marries somebody named Leah and has 3 children, Sydney, the other one, and a son.
Jane, his wife.
Cool.
But no,
the other one, LaForge.
The one who I can't remember who was the pilot in on Picard.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But their mother was never mentioned on that show, but the books have him off marrying somebody named Leah and then becoming a novelist.
I quite enjoy that. I wish you knew the names.
No, he does.
He becomes a novelist.
He does. He resigns from Starfleet eventually and becomes a novelist.
All right.
Well, that's fantastic. I love that for him. I would like to read those books. Moving on to Night Terrors, the Enterprise gets trapped in a Tychon's rift, an energy-absorbing rupture in space, where all but Data, Troy, and Guinan experience rising hallucinations and paranoia. I am barely going to talk about this episode because it sucked. They come across this rift, okay, and they find another Betazoid, and everyone involved in this rift is going crazy. Nobody can sleep, nobody's having dreams, and it's messing with chemical reactions within the body, blah, blah, blah. Troy can sleep, but she only has nightmares, and they have to go into the rift and figure it out, and there's other aliens in there too. They fix it, and it's all fine. This episode was so stupid. I hated every second of it.
Yeah.
And a waste of an O'Brien and Keiko sidebar because they show up for 5 seconds and they have a little lovers spat and that's it. And I'm like, I would like to see more of them, but not in this type of scenario, please.
Indeed.
But, Data, it comes to a point where Data has to be acting captain. And then when they fix the thing, Picard goes to sit back in the captain's chair. And Data's like, as my last action as acting captain, I order you to bed. And Picard is like, ha ha ha, and goes to bed. And whatever. They fix it and everyone can go to sleep again.
The notes I have for this one is that Frakes himself referred to this episode as a yawner.
He's not wrong. Well, another thing, there's a bit of a trope here that I don't think has really been explored. Anytime there's a Betazoid who's not named Troy that shows up, something goes wrong with the crew or the ship,
Mhm.
or some kind of shenanigans happen. And this is not just here, but we also see it in lower decks.
Betazoids always causing
Just
problems.
coming in and causing shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
Interesting. You are
Yep.
so right. Unrelated. I had a friend recently, a good friend who's also into Star Trek, message me and say, "Hey, you didn't tell me that Loxana Troy was also in the original series and is also the voice of the computer." And I, I had to be like, "I thought you knew. That's Majel Barrett. She was married to Gene Roddenberry. She's Queen Star Trek." And he's like, "Well, I certainly learned a lot today." Anyway, some trivia from this terrible episode. The USS Brattain was named after Walter Hauser Brattain, an American physicist who is one of the men who helped invent the transistor. Marina Sirtis recalled that the terrified look on her face while Troy is traveling in the dream was genuine. She's afraid of heights and as a result was very uncomfortable while 15 feet above the ground and attached to wires. The explosion from the rift is reused footage from the explosion of the Genesis device in The Wrath of Khan. And Brian Tochi, who played Ensign Lennikin, previously played one of the children in And the Children Shall Lead from the original series. That terrible, well, not terrible episode, the episode with the kids who just do this with their,
Da,
with their
Fuck on
fists.
da,
them.
da, da, da.
Moving on to another episode that we are just going to blaze right on through. Identity Crisis. Lieutenant Commander Geordi LaForge and an old friend fight to defeat a parasite that is trying to transform them into another species. Essentially, Geordi's friend has deserted in a shuttlecraft. So he and some other members of this away team that they were all on are heading towards a planet. Oh, good golly. If you're listening at home, Carrie is holding up a toy of this creature that we will encounter later on in this
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
Is that specifically Geordi?
That is.
Mhm.
Yes, it is Lieutenant Commander LaForge as
Oh.
Tarkanian 3 alien, as seen in Identity Crisis episode.
Wow. So, they essentially they previously were on this planet. People who have also been on this planet have like disappeared. No trace, no explanation. Lieutenant Susanna, I cannot pronounce her last name, so I'm just going to call her Lieutenant Susanna. She and Geordi track the shuttle that Hickman had taken and deserted with. Picard turns the Enterprise to intercept the stolen shuttle. They enter the star system where they were previously, and they find the shuttle on the way to its planet on a suicide run, as it will burn up in the atmosphere. They try to save it. They fail. Scanners indicate that 2 more shuttles on the surface, but they have no life signs, and everybody beams down to investigate. Turns out there are some parasites on this planet, and they make their way inside you, and then they turn you into one of them, and Dr. Susanna's got it. So now the clock is a-ticking to figure out what do we do. And Geordi, unbeknownst, also has the parasite, and so it is a race against time to fix Lieutenant Susanna and Geordi. And they Geordi beams down to the planet and he starts to turn into the creature, the glowing blue creature. Beverly figures it out. She can surgically remove the parasite. Lieutenant Susanna is fine, but they got to go find Geordi, and they find Geordi, and it is seconds away. Geordi is seconds away from fully transforming into this creature. They determine that's what happened to everybody that has gone missing, is the parasite turns them into this creature, and they get to a point where they cannot come back from that. And
I've
they
seen
find
this movie
Geordi.
before.
They find Geordi, bring him home, fix him, blah, blah, blah. I am such a crybaby, though, that even though I was so bored by the rest of this episode, when Lieutenant Susanna is like, don't worry, Geordi, we're going home, and like they hug, I am in full tears. I don't know why. I am just such a huge crybaby. It was so sweet. But while overall this episode was pretty bleh, there's some fun, interesting behind the scenes stuff for this episode. The USS Ares, which is the ship that the shuttle was stolen from, the command of the USS Ares was previously offered to Riker
Yes,
upon the
that's right.
retirement of her captain. So Riker could have been in charge of that, but he wasn't. It took 4 makeup artists 6 hours to apply the full makeup, the species makeup to LeVar Burton, and according to Michael Westmore, it was the longest makeup ever done on The Next Generation.
Yeah, I mean, it was
The-
full body. I mean, so it was a whole suit and everything. But
Yeah.
did it cover his entire head and everything, and hands?
The makeup and prosthetics were so intricate that LeVar Burton needed a nurse on hand when removing and reapplying for bathroom stops, etc. And this episode was nominated for an Emmy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Makeup.
And what's wrong with us? Because I'm looking at some of the reviews. Forbes magazine, that noted Star Trek magazine,
Yeah.
Forbes, said that they described this episode as suspenseful and creepy and gave it in a top 10 list. Wired magazine
year?
said,
What
What year?
2012. Wired magazine 2012 said it was one of the best episodes of Next Gen. 2020 Screen Rant says it's the 6th most frightening episode. Terrifying, they call it. What's wrong with us that we didn't like it?
Because we saw aliens.
Yes.
I don't know, you guys.
I
Maybe-
think it's way better.
Let me take that back. At this point, we'd only seen Alien, the first
True.
movie.
True.
But we've seen it done better with Aliens and even in crappier situations some of the other sequels. But we've seen it's like been there, done this, coming back in a rewatch. And then 80, what was this, 80? No, this would have been 91 when this came out. This was still like creepy. So I can see where it would, for the time. Not 2012, but
I like to think that we have better taste than these magazines. That's what I think.
that works too.
I will absolutely hand it to this episode for being suspenseful. I don't know. We're spoiled, and I know myself. I'm a horror fanatic, so maybe it's because my temperament has seen worse. I don't know. These next 2 episodes, though, very excited to talk about. The Nth Degree. When assigned to investigate an unknown probe, Lieutenant Barclay is hit by an energy surge through a shuttlecraft's computer, and he receives an inexplicable boost of confidence and vast increase in his knowledge. I was so mad when I learned this was a Barclay episode. But I will say, coming around on Barclay by the end of the episode. Hate to say it. So the episode starts, and we are witnessing a play performance in which Barclay is Cyrano de Bergerac and Dr. Beverly Crusher, again, adding to her list of talents and playing opposite him in a play, and everybody's watching. Data has this look on his face of, what am I watching here? While everyone else is being very nice. Beverly also tells Worf that she has an opening in her workshop, which tells me Beverly is the drama teacher aboard the USS Enterprise. And I want to just take a second to present to you guys the logo I made for the Enterprise Drama Club.
Oh, there it is.
Because I have been begging on Twitter for someone to make me USS Enterprise Drama Club logo. So I just went ahead and made one myself. And as you can see, this is...
The only note I have, and I'm probably wrong about this, you've got traditional shaped drama masks there.
Yeah.
What if they were shaped like Badgie from Lower Decks?
Oh.
And one is smiling and one is frowning and angry.
That's I only
like
have
Badgie and Goody.
I only have a Canva Pro account, so
okay.
that is a little bit beyond
All right.
my capability.
That's the only. Other than I love it. I love it. That was just the only
Yeah.
note I had. I love it.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to slap this on a sweatshirt or something, I don't care if I get sued.
She just wants it.
I just I just want the attention of Star Trek is all. I pitched the idea of a found footage episode, and Jake Black was like, "Oh, that's not a bad idea." So, running up the chain, everybody. Okay,
All right.
so anyway, the Enterprise, let's see, comes across a let's see. The Enterprise checks on the Argus Array, a giant Federation outskirts astronomical telescope which stopped signaling months ago. Geordi and the mentally rehabilitated engineer Barclay, I don't know where that description has come from, board a shuttle to try to repair the telescope, but there's an intense energy surge from an alien probe of unknown technology when Barclay scans it, and Barclay gets hit with what I can only describe as a male confidence beam. So they
Well played.
they back on the Enterprise. Barclay recovers, but the probe is following the Enterprise very closely. The Enterprise tries to retreat, but the probe follows, building up a dangerous field which might blank out the Enterprise's computers, and the probe is unresponsive to full phasers. And Barclay now is even more aggravating, if you can believe it. He demonstrates surprising insight and knowledge, saving the situation by repairing power and increasing shield strength by 300%, getting photon torpedoes ready, which destroy the probe. He's useful, but inexplicable irradiation proves invaluable for telescope repairs too. Geordi had proposed a 3-week repair schedule for the 18 fusion reactors, and Barclay, angry about this, says, "I can do it in 2 days." And Geordi is
Name
like,
that tune. Oh wait.
and Geordi is like, "What are you talking about?"
What are you smoking, Reg?
And in Dr. Crusher's drama club workshop, they only show Dr. Crusher and Barclay, and then Deanna's there too. But you can see there's other students in the background. I desperately need more of this. I'm just such a theater kid at heart that I need to know more about the drama department.
It's a continuing adult education class.
Yes, that's it.
He's so in this theater workshop, Barclay is performing. It's 10 times better than he was when they were on stage previously. He's making hits. He's making advances at Troy. And Dr. Crusher finds that his brain has improved more than any human. Production of neurotransmitters in his brain has increased 500%, causing unprecedented intelligence. And Barclay is also now considered a risk.
Well, and also last time we saw Reg, he wished he had more confidence.
Oh boy!
So you went to see the wizard. Oh,
Be
okay.
careful what you wish for, because here it comes.
And I love too that Picard, he's sitting with the main crew, and he's like, "Okay, well, is Barclay like posing any threats?" And Deanna says, "He did make a pass at me." And both Riker and Geordi look at her like, "Excuse me?" And she says, "It was a pretty good one too." And Riker's like, "What are you talking about?"
Again, this relationship between these two. I don't know what to make of it. Anyway.
So essentially, Barclay builds a neural interface between the Enterprise and the Array computers, and creates for himself a computer chair in which he now computer. Barclay now omniscient. Barclay know everything.
Barclay Brainiac.
I kept having visions of the Riddler in the Batman and Robin movie.
Oh, you see, I went to Superman 3, which I'll never admit to again.
I thought of Superman 3, but then I thought the better visual is the Riddler in Batman and Robin. But...
So Barclay, now computer, has taken over the helm. He is omniscient. He senses that he understands the universe as a single equation for a higher purpose, enabling unprecedented space exploration. He also claims that the speed of the Enterprise is no longer limited by warp. It is limitless. He claims that even his body is now being controlled by the computer core he created, and he cannot transfer back to the confines of his human brain. So Picard is like, "Stop this." We must stop him. It would mean killing him, as there's no way to know where Barclay ends and the computer begins.
Yeah.
But Barclay designs a new graviton-based propulsion mechanism that will allow them to travel millions of light years in seconds. Picard orders Geordi to cut off Barclay's access to engineering by introducing
Unplug
a manual
him.
bypass. You just tried unplugging him. But it's too late, and Barclay has taken the Enterprise 30,000 light years in seconds. And everyone on the crew is like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they encounter an alien species there.
The Cytherian. So
Yes.
the head of the Cytherian appears aboard the bridge, and Barclay.
And it
Off
says,
his
"Show
computer
me
chair.
what you got." No.
Yes. Barclay now is, however this happened, is away from his chair and on the bridge, and he's like, "Hey, the probe that we encountered was actually a set of instructions for a way for us to reach this alien species, the Cytherians, and initiate first contact. It wasn't able to reprogram the computer or the shuttle computer, but it managed to reprogram Barclay, a human being." He explains that the Cytherians have the same mission as the Enterprise. They want to know us. The Enterprise spends 10 days with them and then is returned to their own space, and Barclay goes back to normal, where he returns to being a terrible man. And there are some other people in 10 Forward playing chess, and he's like, "Oh, do you mind?" Makes a move and says, "Checkmate in 9." And then walks off, and Deanna is like, "I didn't know you could play chess." And he's like, "I didn't either." This
And
fucking
then-
guy.
And then, again with the Riker-Troy relationship, she goes with him on a date.
Because he did ask her to go on a walk with him in the Arboretum, and Deanna is nice, and she's like, "I'll go with you." And Riker mad. Get over it, Riker.
Again, this relationship, and it's gonna come up. It's gonna come up again in the episode "The Host," which we have it probably next episode. But this relationship between these
It's an
two.
open relationship, Carrie. It's a space open
I
relationship.
guess.
So here's another thing, though. This could have easily been another Data episode
Yes.
because they've already done it where Data's like, I can just take over the ship myself and run the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's better to use somebody else. And I think that it was nice that it wasn't just regular bridge crew or even
Mhm.
O'Brien because it gives Barclay something to do. And foreshadowing, he gets better.
So this script was not originally written for Lieutenant Barclay. However, the producers were looking for a vehicle to bring back the character. So curious to know who it was originally written for. Maybe Data, but then one of the producers was like, "We actually already
we did
kind of
that.
did this."
I'll bet it was Data, or maybe it was Geordi. No, I don't know.
Because you
Can't
just had one for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that'd be too many in a row of Geordi episodes, I guess.
I was going to
maybe.
say, we already had like 2 Geordi-centric episodes in this batch. We can't,
Yeah.
God forbid we have 3. The pre-credits scene for this episode is also one of the longest in The Next Generation. It's around 7 minutes long, and then it gets to the credits. Anyway, let's move on to my best friend in the
you
whole
love
wide
it.
world, Cupid. Aiming to get out of Jean-Luc's debt, Q forces Captain Picard and his officers to live out the legend of Robin Hood with a past acquaintance as Maid Marian. I love this episode, but I love anything to do with my man Q. So the Enterprise is at Tegus 3 to host an annual symposium of the Archaeology Council in which Picard is giving the keynote address. What a nerd.
Yes, he is.
He is visited by his archaeologist acquaintance Vosh, who is now a member of the Archaeology Council. They end up doing it again.
Well, of course.
Vosh spends the day on
Why
the
wouldn't they?
Enterprise and is surprised to learn that nobody knows about her.
I loved that part.
I would be
Why
devastated.
why are you telling anybody about me? Why do you tell? She's walking around. Why? And Picard's like, Doing his
The-
Rodney Dangerfield kind of pulling at his tie kind of thing.
So Picard and Vosh are having breakfast, and Beverly comes in, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't realize he had company. We have morning tea every morning," and Picard gets flustered, and he's like, "This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly." Dr. Crusher, Dr. Beverly Crusher. And I'm like, slow down, my guy. Take a breath. And so we're learning so much about Dr. Crusher. I think Dr. Crusher is messy. I think she likes drama because she takes Vosh on a tour of the Enterprise, takes her to 10 forward, leaves her alone for 5 seconds, and Riker, never missing an opportunity to swoop,
Right there.
swoops right on in.
Again. All right.
And just like painful dropping these pickup lines on her, and Beverly walks over, or Vosh even like says, "Oh, you must be Riker," and he's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Yeah, Picard does a great impression of you," and Riker is like, "What
oh.
the fuck?" And so Beverly is like, "Hey, this is Vosh. She's a friend of the captain," and Vosh again is like, "So you also have not heard of me?" And Riker's like, "I'm sorry, can't say that I have."
Now here's the thing about Picard. He's not your typical male. Most guys would tell at least one person that they work with. You know,
At least Riker,
at
right?
least Riker.
Because then Beverly is also like, they met on Risa, and Riker is like, "Oh, Risa.
I guess that trip was successful.
I guess that statue I sent you with worked."
Yes.
And then Vosh also meets Deanna, and Deanna, of course, doesn't know who she is. And Vosh is like, "God damn it." Ah! And she is pissed. And so she finally confronts Picard about it. And Picard is like, "Look, I just do not share my feelings with the crew. Doesn't mean I don't have them, but I don't share them with my crew."
Yeah.
And she... I understand where she's coming from. She feels angry and embarrassed, and who could blame her? And at this point, we're only about 12 minutes into the episode, and I'm like, where is my man Q? I have not seen him yet. Picard then goes to his office, and there he is, baby, sitting in the chair. And he is like, "What? What?" And Q is like, "I owe you a debt because you saved my life, essentially, and I'm here to repay my debt. What do you want?" And Picard says, "I want you to get out of my chair." And I'm like, "Ha ha ha, I wish you guys would kiss." And Q is like, "I will give you, I can deliver to you anything you want. We are here at Tagus 3, where they have closed off archaeological digs for outsiders for like centuries. Don't you want to see it? I can show you the world." And Picard is like, "No, that would be breaking the law," because he's a narc. And he was like, "Fine, I see." So Picard just keeps refusing Q, and so Q leaves. And so Vosh, predictable as always, it comes to light that she is there at this council symposium because she also wants to go to the ruins of Tagus 3, because no, they're not letting anybody there, and of course she wants to go there.
Stop, Bosch.
Q,
she's a tomb raider. That's why she wants to go.
Yeah. Who could blame her? Q witnesses a fight between the two, and then visits Picard while he's alone in his bed, lifts up the sheet. "Sleeping alone, I see, and I am begging for them to kiss." Q tells Picard that love is a very dangerous thing, and he tells Picard that love will be his Achilles heel. Q takes it upon himself to repay his debt by illustrating to Picard the pitfalls of getting involved with someone, placing them all in a fantasy world where Picard is Robin Hood, Vosh is Maid Marian, and Q is the sheriff of Nottingham. But Q, ever the messiest bitch, does this in the middle of Picard's keynote address. He just one by one starts putting everyone in costumes, and all of a sudden, poof, they are gone, and they are in Sherwood Forest. To which we get the best line ever, probably in Star Trek, where Worf is dressed as one of the merry men, and what does he say? I
I
am
am not a merry man.
I am angry. I'm not a merry man. Yay! You know how I feel when they get to just play and have fun in other costumes. So Picard's party is attacked by Sir Guy and his soldiers, and he is forced to retreat into the forest. Q informs Picard that Sir Guy has captured Maid Marian and will behead her at noon the next day. If Picard fails to act, she will be killed. At the same time, if Picard does nothing, his crew will be back on board the Enterprise after noon the next day. And Q specifies that I've not put any limits on this world. Anything can happen.
Yeah, you can
Which
die.
You can die, which is key for what Vash does. Because, so Vash is kidnapped in a tower, alas, like a princess. And Sir Guy wants Maid Marian to marry him, but she only slaps him in response. But once she learns that her execution is planned for the next day, Vash's tune suddenly changes. And Q is so surprised because Vash is now cuddling up to Sir Guy and like absolutely willing to be his wife in order if it means survival. And I don't think Q has ever encountered the lengths at which a woman will go for survival. And he is totally caught blindsided by this whole turn of events.
This isn't supposed to turn out this way.
I thought humans did stupid things for love, and apparently Vosh is not doing that. I do not understand. So let's see. Q tells Sir Guy that Maid Marian is a spy for Robin Hood, but Marian says that it's over between her and Robin and that Robin has bewitched her, and Sir Guy believes her story over Q's. Since this is a personal matter, Picard takes it upon himself to go after Vosh himself and asks his crew to stay hidden. He goes to get her, but she is not impressed that he came alone. She tells him to get lost and that she would rather take her chances with Sir Guy. Picard tries to abduct her, but she draws the sword on him and hands him over to Sir Guy. Again, Q is like, what is happening? I did not expect this to happen at all. But then he finds that Vosh was trying to slip a letter to Riker to have them come and rescue the captain and her, and Q hands her over to the guards. Vosh and Picard are set to be executed and brought to the executioner's block. Vosh and Picard argue bitterly, which claiming they were trying to save each other's life. Meanwhile, Riker and the team have infiltrated the castle. Data provides the distraction while Riker and the others attack the castle. Picard kills Guy in a sword fight and rescues Vosh. It's all so fun. Q considers his debt repaid for imparting a lesson that Picard was willing to risk his team for his personal feelings. The point is that Picard was weak and vulnerable. Love brought out the worst in him and compelled him to risk his team. Picard gets the point. And then Vosh partners with Q for her explorations. Picard is livid but realizes that Vosh and Q are perfect for each other. And indeed they are. And so begin the adventures of Dr. Q and his companion Vosh, which that's a show I want to see.
There you go.
when she teleported in on Picard's couch, I was like, oh my God, did she do the thing I'm dying to do and just join the continuum? Because what a smart move on her part. But it seems that she is instead just going to be Dr. Q's companion.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll find out is that those two will be hanging out for a bit.
And I love that for her. Some trivia for this episode. While filming a fight with the castle guard, Jonathan Frakes was injured from the stuntman's sword after it broke through the Little John quarterstaff, and he had to be taken to the hospital in his Robin Hood era clothes.
Ow.
Frakes later remarked how funny it was that no one in the Hollywood hospital thought it was a weird thing to have happened.
Of course.
Seen it day and again, why?
Yeah.
The moment where Vosh stumbles while pacing in her Marian gown was not scripted. Jennifer Hetrick actually tripped but carried on with the scene, and it was decided to be kept in as it was natural for Vosh not to be used to wearing the long outfit, which I thought.
See, that's why I thought it was purposeful, to show us, because Vosh doesn't wear dresses, know.
Yeah, I loved that little moment. Vosh's character is growing more and more on me. I thought she was just kind of an irritating adventurer in that first episode. But now that she has shown up again and gets to exude more personality, absolutely growing on me. And then finally, Marina Sirtis and Gates McFadden were trained in sword fighting, but only the men were allowed to use swords.
Oh, that's right, because Beverly picks up a pot and hits somebody on the head with it, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they knew how to use...
They do explain it, or there is an explanation for it. And it was like, well, we're in the 12th century and the men would have been fighting. I'm like, wow.
But we're not in the 12th century. We've been transported from the future to the 12th century. That's bullshit.
No, I wholeheartedly agree.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
Why didn't they let them, if they knew? I mean, if I was a director on the set with them and they said, wait, we have training, I'd go, terrific, stunt guys, come over here. Let's make this happen, you know?
It's like having Sulu on the away team.
Yeah, exactly.
But
see,
yeah.
That disappoints me hearing that.
Yeah, well, try being a woman.
Because we like to think that Star Trek is a progressive show, you know?
I mean, Star Trek itself is quite progressive, but don't forget, it's made in 1990s USA Hollywood. But that's that batch of episodes. First three aside, I really quite enjoyed The Nth Degree and Cupid. I just love anytime my man Q comes around. I'm looking at the episode list for season 4. Season 5, excuse me. Does he even show up
Q?
in season 5?
There's a reason he doesn't. Mr. Delancey is being used elsewhere at that time.
Where?
I can't tell you.
Oh.
You'll find out soon enough.
Fine. So next week would typically be the finale of season 4, but we're going to do something fun. So next week, what we're going to do, or not next week, but 2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about The Drumhead, directed by Jonathan Frakes, Half a Life, The Host, The Mind's Eye, and In Theory. And then we'll do a special separate episode specifically featuring Redemption Part 1 and then the Season 5 premiere of Redemption Part 2. So next episode, we will not be covering the Season 4 finale, but we'll do a special one-off episode covering the finale and then the premiere of the next season. So you guys have that to look forward to.
These next few episodes, there's some consequential stuff happening in each one of them pretty much.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and it looks like Patrick Stewart makes a directorial debut in the episode In Theory. Ah,
yes.
Which is an episode written by Joe Menosky and Ronald D. Moore. Ooh, okay. Looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Any final words about today's episodes that we have discussed?
Go ahead.
No, I got nothing.
Again, I'm glad we agreed on the snoozers and the good ones.
Just real downers. One day I hope that they find something to do with Deanna and Beverly, but so far it's not looking like it.
Well,
it's coming.
You got one coming up next week.
Okay.
Next episode, there's some pretty heavy Beverly action, which I was actually kind of disappointed at her at the end, but
well,
we'll get to that.
Oh, well, all right then. Until then, we will keep going where no man has gone before, but a lot of people have gone before. Thank you once again, everybody. We'll see you next time.